Hi everybody, welcome back to the Top Drive Show. In today's episode we are doing the April Q&A and I am stepping in for Josie who's just away on holiday. So without further ado, let's get to the questions. I'm Katie and I'm the Community Manager here at Hutch.
I'm Tim, I run Marketing and Analytics at Hutch.
And I'm Jonathan and I'm Design Director here at Hutch.
So we've had lots of questions in our last video and we're going to go through some of those now. Our first question is from Matthias de Zure and he asks, why when we race bots there is a Hutch pull with John's face as the picture? It's been bothering me every time I see it.
Hutch pull.
Hutch pull, yeah. I mean, it's been, not quite. I mean, we've just, actually the Hutch somebody thing has become a little bit of a signature from kind of a lot of our games right back to I think the original Hill Dash was maybe when we first did it. It's just the process, as in it's never meant to be the people. It's never meant to sync up. So in some ways, anybody who's happy for their face to appear in one of our games, all the face photos go into a pool, and then we just generate random names. It's a really boring answer, unfortunately.
Well, you look like you could be a Paul. That looks believable to me. Yeah.
Do I look like a Denise? Because if you play F1 Manager, I am Denise.
That seems plausible to me too. Yeah.
But yes, unfortunately, very little logic behind it, and you just have to carry that alternate persona around.
You've now seen behind the curtain.
Alias.
Yeah. There you go.
Our second question comes from Who Made Aswadi. Can we get to have a Top Drives event, like in real life, meet up with other players and check out their garages, get to race each other only in events? Now,
it was a sort of build.
It was a sort of a big build. So the idea is that, I guess, meeting with friends, or we organise a big.
Like this is real world.
Real world.
Actually, looking at each other's phones and going, "Oh, I've got one of these." Yeah.
I guess the idea would be like when Pokemon Go do their zones.
Yeah.
And everyone goes to a zone and everyone gets to take part in an event and specific challenges in that location.
We don't have the popularity of Pokemon Go, unfortunately. We're not that big. So that means in a given in a given city there's not as many players, but there's quite a few players in the UK. And London's got a lot of people in it, and people can get to London quite easily.
I mean, it's definitely a nice idea.
You know,
I think that I know we've talked about it, but I'd say for us at Hutch probably the most kind of positive thing, or the things most exciting about Top Drives is genuinely the community that's sort of formed around it. So doing something for that, it does raise a kind of, not a negative, but it does raise something that's been discussed as well, which is that we're really aware of this, that we need to be doing more socially in the game. There's a lot of scope, I think, for us to be doing more features. Okay, I know it's not quite the same as actually meeting up, but there's definitely scope for us to kind of improve that situation. But yeah, I think in a way, I don't think it's not that it has never been discussed, and I think we are as a company we are expanding on the kind of the social and the community sort of roles within the company, and so things like this, maybe wouldn't rule it out for the future.
Yeah, and we certainly would like to have like people at the studio and get some people together and just have a game session with them, even though it's not a big official event in the game, but it would be nice to start opening the doors to that kind of thing.
Yeah. Also, I thought you could do, I had this idea, right, Top Drive sort of quiz show, fingers on the buzzers, RQ18, front wheel drive, off-road. and you've got to give the year and the name. Or then look, these stats, how is it upgraded? 969, 33,
And no one's got access to Top Drive.
That's right, you just got to know.
You just got to know it off the top of your head.
Yeah, I think there's some good deep Top Drive trivia you can get into there. Find the true master.
That would be very cool.
Yeah, anyway.
Question 3.
Yep.
From Lee Johnson. Talking of unloved all-rounders, how about an endurance mode where one car has to race 5 tracks? Players would have to choose whether to field a specialist vehicle that would gain big points on its favoured track or surface and then hope not to lose too many elsewhere, or opt for an all-rounder to gain a consistent performance over all tracks and surfaces and potentially win. Tortoise versus hare.
Yeah.
Love that idea. It was in a way it was something that was sort of that sort of concept feels like it was almost part of the kind of original thinking around top drives. It's just that we did so many experiments with the kind of the race flow or the kind of the match flow in terms of like how you pick your cards, how many cards you have, do you see your opponent's cards, all things like that. And they had really quite a big impact on the appeal of the game in a way in the very, very early days before it went live. And so I think maybe we've sort of stuck with something that kind of, because it works.
Yeah.
It does what it's done. And we haven't maybe experimented as much as we could have.
Yeah.
So I know I'm definitely a sort of fan of this type of thing.
It is a good way of getting at the all-rounder thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we have it a little bit. Like there's the Santa Monica slalom, where you do this slalom on road and then you come down onto the beach and it's sand suddenly.
Yes.
And so which one do you win at, and how does that play out?
But there's something really compelling, whichever way round you do it, whether you do it sort of like you play your card that's going to be sort of great initially, and then it's a bit of like, can it keep that lead sort of over a series of challenges? Or the other one is that you're actually a bit rubbish for the first few challenges, but you know that you've got a kind of your moment is coming, and in the final challenge or the final two challenges, that's when you're going to sort of, this one car is going to shine. So,
if such an event existed, what would your all-rounder be?
It depends how off-roady it gets. I've got there's this it's my go-to car. Where is it now? Oh yeah, the RQ15 Subaru Alcyon SVX.
Okay.
Right, it's four-wheel drive, performance tyres, slow ground clearance, but it's pretty fast, pretty twisty, pretty good in a lot of challenges where I'm like, and just something else can go there, whatever.
And that's what you put your money on.
Yeah.
And what about if you were to pile everything into one car because you're like, it's fast, it'll be fine. What would that be?
It's difficult because
or do you think your all-rounder is pretty much
the off-road tyres? There's some amazing rally cars. They're fast. They've got off-road tyres. But then if the rain comes in on asphalt, they're like, oh no, you got nothing. So then you probably need all surface. But then the all surface is generally worse. It's very tricky.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard for it not to be a fast SUV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
Generally.
But I think there's probably things that we could look at where there's like, I don't know, there's a barrier you need to go under, and the car needs to be under a certain height. That would introduce a new dynamic to it.
We've not used height. Audi SQ5, that's the one. It's pretty good. It's all surface.
We talked in a previous episode about width and things as well.
Yes, we were meant to have.
So like height-wise.
Yeah, we could do it. We could start playing around with a few different things like that.
Maybe different metrics.
Yeah, no, but definitely good question.
Cool. Question 4 comes from Suzzoni. Could you implement some kind of counter in clubs where we can see how many races we've done ourselves during an event, and a counter that shows you how many club events we have participated in over the course of 2 days or a season? Sometimes simply forget to count along the races, rely on the leaderboard, but at the end turns out an opponent raced against you and one wasn't counted as part of doing those 115, 30 races. It's a long question. Same thing goes to seasons when we need to complete 10 events for maximum reward, but we have no way of keeping track of the progress.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff going on in clubs that is hidden. Really, it's like you get extra rewards for doing one race, 5, 10, and there's nothing in the game that shows you that, and there's nothing that counts those races. So that's what's going on. You're like, I just want to do 5, and you're doing the races, looking at your wins in the leaderboard, and go, all right, I'm winning 5-0, I'm done. But maybe one of those was a loss that somebody else took from you.
Yes.
Yeah. I also look at the servicing on the car because they've got 10 races, and if you do 5, then it's got 5 left. So I check that sometimes. Doesn't look if they're common because they recover servicing so fast. So it is, what I think the first thing before we even do that is that it should be more obvious what the reward things are that you need to do. We posted it ages ago, I think, and then
there's definitely a lot of kind of surfacing of information that clubs could do. Good.
And there is a leaderboard behind the scenes of like everybody, we know. It would be nice to have that in some way as well.
I know there's sort of, I don't think the team even sort of knows the specifics yet, but I know there's sort of plans in the schedule for club sort of quality of life.
Club goodness.
Some more sort of club features and
improvements.
So I think
we've been talking this week about having an episode of the Top Drive Show where we'll talk a bit more about clubs, bring some of those stats that are hidden behind the scenes out, and maybe talk about last month and
Yeah,
So
we
if
can
you've
do
got
that
some
here.
ideas, put them in the comments of what you think we should talk about in a clubs episode of Top Drives.
Yeah.
Because we can't get it in the game yet, but we could talk about it.
Yeah.
Cool. Good question, thank you. So next question is from With Cars, saying, can we have different views of the cars racing that we can choose from?
Ah. So I wonder if that's a reference to the thing or just a coincidence, right? Because
I don't know what date this comment was written.
Yeah.
But yes, so some players saw a advert we did that appears on Facebook and Instagram, and there are an updated scenery image on that, and someone's recorded the advert and posted it on Reddit.
Yeah.
And
it's a first-person perspective version of it, you're driving with the car on the twisty road.
so I don't know if With Cars saw that, but
Yeah.
maybe.
It's out there, isn't it?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's worth. I mean, as a sort of company, as a team, I mean, we're always experimenting. The visual side of, it's been talked a lot before in terms of even the car models and the environments. It sort of, don't know what they're, sort of low. Top Drives is somewhat sort of low fidelity in comparison to some of the other sort of racing games out there.
Yeah.
And there's sort of reasons behind that. It kind of it's one of the reasons that we can have so many cars in the game. And I think that the players often bring that up, that they're aware that balance exists, and we need to be careful about that. But yeah, we like the idea about sort of continuing to evolve the visuals. We are going to always be sort of doing. I mean, these are really experiments, and the way that we try and address any sort of experiments is by getting it in front of real people. We use lots of different channels and lots of different methods of testing stuff, but this was a test. It's not
just to see how people felt about it and see what the comments look like on it, and then see what people post on Reddit about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it doesn't reflect something that's definitely going to happen. And it is an experiment that is ongoing. And in terms of specifically the question about different camera angles and things like that, all of those things have the potential to. I mean, they're appealing from a sort of player's point of view, and from us as players. But they all have the potential to sort of complicate things in different ways. So the original Top Drive scenes are built to be viewed from one camera angle.
Yeah.
And that creates a huge amount of efficiency because the artist knows what's going to be seen and what isn't going to be seen. As soon as you start going to kind of follow cams sort of behind the camera, behind the car, or even sort of first person sort of inside the car, then you start getting horizon lines being
the scenery
viewed,
just drops off.
And it's almost a kind of, maybe not exponential, but it's a significant change in the amount of work that is required.
Yeah, because it looks okay there. It was designed to look okay there. But like the city streets especially, it's like, whoa, hang on, there's no doors and there's no windows, and this is all very grey and dystopian. I'm like,
and
what is going on here?
Things don't need backs to the,
right.
A lot of stuff will just be missing the back of it, which is a saving in itself. And so, in a way, I think most people are sort of very aware of that sliding scale or the kind of the balance that we're dealing with, because we don't want the binary size or the application size to get huge. We definitely don't want load times to increase significantly. So, as people can probably tell, anyone who's seen the advert can obviously tell this stuff is being looked at, but it's nothing is definite at the moment, and we will always be balancing it out with performance and keeping the app snappy and sort of easy to use.
Yeah.
So thank you everyone for your questions. You've all won a carbon fibre pack for those. And those names again are Matthias De Zura, Hamed Aswaldi, Lee Johnson, Sazzoni, and With Cars. So one other feature we added into our last episode, which was new, was John had a question for the players. And that question was?
Have you been for a test drive in anything interesting recently?
Cool. And we had a few responses. No one drove a Twizy. The shock was overwhelming. But we did have some interesting cars come out of it that people have been driving this year. So Tillman Protzner bought himself a Mercedes-Benz CL203 C220 CDI Sport Coupe. He says, it's nothing new or very special, but to me it was a big step. It has a Bose sound system, which really makes the lack of low the lack of raw engine sound. Which really makes up for the lack of raw engine sound, as it's a diesel. Everyone knows what diesels sound like.
It's a great car. They definitely sort of.
So and his previous car was an E36, so it's a nice little step up there.
Yeah.
It's nice. Big Dog commented saying, I tested a Zoe this year and not a Twizy.
That's
tested
close.
it.
That is definitely close. And I've sort of, I've been close to kind of going and trying one myself, because I sort of.
The Zoe's electric, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Eco-friendly tag.
And it's it's just that thing that we just have one family car because I come into London and we really only need one family car. But I've been debating this idea of kind of splitting out in that one car into two cars. So one little electric runaround,
one super,
and then one crazy thing.
What do you mean crazy thing?
He just means a caterer.
Well, no. Actually, the catering's separate. Catering's separate.
So still like 5 seats for the family.
So I went to drive a C63, Mercedes C63 Estate the other day. Not that I'm actually in the market for new cars at the moment.
Okay, but you went on a test drive.
Because otherwise I want to know if I'm daydreaming about a new car. I want to know if I'm daydreaming about the right thing. So I don't want to be daydreaming about something and then one day be able to do it and then find out it's the wrong thing. So there's a lot of logic behind this.
I feel like you're just going to set yourself up to convince yourself you need that car.
I am trying to convince myself. The theory was, can this be a family car? And it's 5, it's 5 seats.
Right.
It's medium, I think, medium ride height, I think. It's got a boot, it's an estate, so it's got a boot. I would say for me, it's definitely not a family car.
Okay.
And it's so aggressive.
Is it?
I would love it as a family car. And I took my daughter for a test drive in it as well. And she, particularly when you put your foot down, she seemed to quite like that.
Right.
It's just so aggressive. You are even trundling through traffic at 30 miles an hour. It's completely dominated by the fact that there's a 4-litre twin turbo V8.
Everyone get out of my way.
Just burgling away. And it was incredibly lovely. And I really want one. But I think I would be in big trouble if I arrived home with one of them, unfortunately.
It's easy to ask for forgiveness, though.
Yes.
The next comment came from Hunter Myers. I've had an awesome test drive in my father's Porsche Cayman GT4 981, not the brand new 718, and while driving, I was smiling the whole time.
See, he says it, it's not, he sort of says it's not brand new, but that's
still something that I'd love to.
It's just, I mean, it was instant classic. I mean, when the original GT4 came out, I mean, it was just it's one of those cars. It was absolute instant classic. I think for a while there's been this weird thing with kind of Boxers and Caymans where it's kind of considered. There's always been that little bit of engineering to keep some distance between the 911s, which is sort of kind of flagship, range, and then the kind of Boxers and Caymans. But I think a lot of people feeling that ultimately that's sort of Cayman has the purer kind of driving experience.
Yeah.
And I think the GT4 was the first time where it was sort of really just allowed to shine in a way. And in terms of from chatting with the guys at Evo magazine and things like that, it's a sort of car that
we need to do a track
instantly
day.
goes down in history.
Yeah.
Right. So very, very lovely car to be out driving around in.
And then another test drive was from Nicholas Husen, who has not yet driven an incredible car this year, but he will very soon in April or June get to drive the amazing Porsche 911 991.2 GT3 and an Alpine, is it A110 or A110?
I don't know. I still say Porsche rather than Porsche. I need to stop that. I think I'd
Porsche,
say A110.
So, fine.
I mean, again, I think any GT series Porsche is just a really special car. I've never driven one myself, but I would love to.
I wouldn't say no.
Yeah, and I actually, I'm intrigued by the Alpine, the A110. Not just because we share a name, but it's one of those cars. It's getting amazing reviews. They've taken quite an interesting angle with it's one of those cars where it's not a sort of track specialist or anything like that, but they've taken it's like their entire philosophy is lightness. So it's one of those cars where just reading about it sounds like every single thing, whether it's getting in or sitting down or pulling away or steering it or changing gear, every sort of lightness just defines the whole experience. And yeah, just people just saying it's just a phenomenal car. It's definitely not cheap. It's not sort of, I wouldn't say it was mass market.
Right.
I might have to go test drive
prices, but yes, that could be one of those cars.
I've never driven a Porsche, so I don't know what they're like. They're a thing my dad likes, but I've never tried one. Maybe one.
So yeah, either GT3 or an A110 would both be nice cars to have a shot in.
So send us some photos when you've done that test drive. We want to see what that looks like.
Yeah.
And then our final comment came from Luke Chrzanowski.
Sounds good.
Luke Chrzanowski. Not sure if this exactly counts, but I did get to drive an FB RX7 this year. It was one of the older carburetted models with a manual choke instead of cabin. Now that's pretty cool. I'd like him to drive a more modern RX7. I don't know if I'd fancy so much the Mark 1. It's a bit old school for me, but it's very cool to be able to drive a car that's still got a choke in the cabin and things. Some of the old features, you can't explain it to first-time drivers now that are 18. Just saying, to get your car going, you had to pull a choke out once upon a time to make sure it was getting enough fuel. And if you gave it too much, it would flood the engine and you had to start it all again. And my first car had that, and just getting anywhere on a morning was slow.
Wow.
Yeah.
But that is definitely classic status.
Very cool. Yeah. So he said it was a really stellar thing to drive, smooth as could be. Highly recommend anyone to take the offer of driving one if you're given the chance. I don't think I'd turn down a chance to test it.
No, and I think that's the thing. I think it'll be one of those cars that just feels so different from modern stuff.
I imagine it feels so heavy as well.
Yeah.
I bet it's some very solid feeling.
No,
driving.
It's some nice.
It's a really good mix. Really good mix. So thank you everyone for the feedback on that question, and we have a brand new question for you this month.
So we'll see how these continue to go. So my question for this month is, can you name the 3 best gear sticks in the world? Production car. I don't know what, I was trying to think whether it's is Gearstick just a UK thing?
Oh.
No, gear knob's a UK thing.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Gearsticks.
Stick. People just talk about
stick. Okay,
stick,
fine. I just wanted to check that I wasn't going to be confusing anyone. Yes. So production car.
Right, not
standard,
some custom thing that you've seen
custom.
in a movie or something.
I reckon there's a very clear top 3. So I've got a very clear top 3 in my head. It's like just so obvious that I think everyone's going to get the same top 3.
Okay.
Yeah. But so yeah. Top 3 gear
I don't
sticks.
think it is that obvious because there's so many decades of styles.
I know.
You've got your short shifters, you've got your really tall ones for hot rods. You've got your the ones that look like snooker balls from your old
We've actually talked. So one of them is easy because I've definitely talked about it on the Top Drive show before.
Yeah.
So you want players to guess your top 3 and give their own top 3, really?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So give you 6 answers, Blaine.
Yeah.
And that's it for us today.
Actually, one's not a Caterham. Just to help.
Not Caterham.
I'm so obsessed with Caterhams that there might be a sense that one of them has to be. But that's another clue that yes, they're not all 3 Caterhams. So there's no although Caterhams do have nice gear sticks, it's not.
If it was top 4, it would be in there.
Sorry.
That's cool. Brilliant. So thank you everyone for sending in your questions to us for this month's Q&A. Make sure you leave your comments for our next month's Q&A in the comment section below on this video. Make sure you like, subscribe and follow to all our social channels above my head, and we'll be back soon.
Bye.
Bye.